Hello, friends, and welcome. I just want to give you an update as to where we are in the signs of the heavens right now. This morning, the Lord showed me what the layout actually looks like in the heavens, even before I was fully awake, which has never happened before. So I had to take some time and figure out what He was trying to say. We're going to talk about that real quick, and then we're going to go into the Revelation 12 sign and why the 2017 event didn't lead to a rapture. And I think that's going to be very easy to understand once we get into that. So over here we've got Sagittarius, and we can go into full screen mode. The planet Venus has entered this constellation, and it's very, very striking that the moon is also here too. The moon represents sorrow. So we've got Venus right in the bow. Venus represents the remnant, the fifth seal martyrs who don't make the first rapture. And I believe that there was a warning with this vision this morning that the remnant is about to go into some very heavy trials and tribulation. Again, we've got Scutum up here, which is our shield. We talked about in a previous video about how that's kind of sounds like the word scotus that we find with the darkness in both Matthew 24, talking about the darkening, but also the fourth and the fifth trumpet. Both of those judgments have a spiritual heaviness or darkness associated with them. So just a warning message for the church, the lukewarm church, those who will be left behind. Times are about to get tough. They're about to get dicey. And I know a lot of people have been getting this word as well, just to confirm that we see this in the heavens. Now, in terms of the bride, Vesta is what I believe God has shown me is going to be the bride of Christ, the first fruits caught up in the rapture. And this is going to play beautifully into the next portion with Revelation 12. So we've got Vesta is going to come into a near conjunction with the sun end of November, around the time of Thanksgiving. It's a feast day, right? But also Mercury is jumping into the picture, which kind of surprised me. I know that that had actually, a scenario had been pointed out on another channel, and I was pretty dismissive about it. And looks like I've got to eat those words now. So I want to extend that recognition to that other channel that Mercury does appear to be playing a heavy role here. And so I'm happy to eat those words. It's just going to basically nosedive. Let's go back into full screen mode. We'll go back to today. But Mercury is just about ready to nosedive into this scenario. It's going to get right into those scales. Again, we got Comet 342P Soho. Mercury is the third horseman jumping into the scales. That's no surprise. We've got Mars here as well, the war with Michael. That's going to be unfolding and is likely unfolding in the heavens now. Boom, there goes Mercury, Vesta, and the sun. And then Soho was nearby. So lots to keep in mind. If you subscribe to Israeli News Live, you know that there are some asteroids coming at the end of November. This is 2021. So there's going to be a lot of action, a potential tsunami. We talked about Metis, the asteroid, a goddess, one of Jupiter's, moons or lovers with the ancient mythology. But Jesus Christ comes to show us what real love is, and it's not lust or passion. It's self-sacrificial. So the sun is going to go into this aquatic goddess meteor at the about the same time that Mercury's going to be there. Vesta's going to be there. Soho is actually over here toward Antares, the heart of Scorpio, and Scorpio is the conflict. So a very, very active time. And we see in Revelation 1 that these things are going to happen suddenly. So let's jump over to Revelation 12. And we're going to jump down a little bit. I'm not going to make this too long. But I will leave this up here in case anybody wants to pause and look through the text. So basically, what we're looking at is this verse here at the bottom, verse 6, about the woman who fled into the wilderness after the man-child was caught up. And we've talked about this before, and actually we can cover it in this video as well. There's one baby, there's one woman. I kind of consider that there might be two different women here, but it's actually two different 3.5 years. The 3.5 years since the Revelation 12 sign, the general term, the 3.5 years is mentioned a lot in this book, so it's not necessarily the exact date, just a general time frame of the midpoint. We've got the Song of the Martyrs, and then we go into the last 3.5 years where the woman is taken into the wilderness. Now, let's go ahead and look at Revelation. Well, we'll look at Revelation 5. So we see she brought forth a son, a male, who was about to rule all the nations with a rod of iron, and was caught up, the child of her, to God and to the throne. Now, technically, yes, these are different words for son and child, but it's like saying, she was with child and had a little girl or a little boy. It's not like, oh, they're two different, kids. You're not going to walk up and say, well, where's the other baby? She just had one baby. So I'm not trying, to down anybody's viewpoint. I've said the same thing, that these are two different, but it's not, it's the same being. It's the same child gets caught up, and we've seen that with the Revelation 12 sign. It gives birth to Jupiter. Jupiter is the first horseman. All of these things are taking place within that start of the Revelation 12 sign. Now, if we go over here to the next verse, we're going to talk a little bit about the wilderness, Revelation 12:6. So I touched on this briefly with our last video, but the wilderness, if we click on this word here, 2048 in the Greek, the New Testament was written in the Greek. So this is actually an adjective. It's like saying that we are going to safety. Safety isn't a place. Or it's like saying we're going to stay out of danger. Danger isn't a place. These are descriptors. So when it says that the woman was going to the wilderness, it just means she's going someplace safe. And since the Revelation 12 sign, for the most part, we have been in a safe place. There have been lockdowns. There have been unsafe situations. But for the most part, people have been okay. This first horseman that was conquering and to conquer, the world has been conquered. It was slowly, but it surely happened. We have to wear little things on our faces and have things done to us that we might not like having, might not want to have those things done. Some people have died. There's arguments either way. I don't want to get into that at this point. All of this is to say that this is, not a place. It's not a noun. It is an adjective, a descriptor. All right, so the second verse that includes the word wilderness is verse 14. And if you want to pause it, I jumped down to the next section between 10 and 14. So let's take a look. It's also the word 2048 down here, wilderness, and it's also an adjective. So why should we think that this time is going to be any different? Well, the woman is going to be kept safe. She's kept safe for the first 3.5 years. She's kept safe for the second 3.5 years. And we know what happens after this scene with the woman being caught up with the wings of an eagle, there is a tsunami and the Antichrist comes on to the scene. Okay, he comes out of that water of the tsunami, tsunami from verse 13. And then the next chapter is going to be the Rapture call chapter. And we've talked about that in previous videos. Excuse me. So we've got this word wilderness. The woman's going to be taken to safety, but this time it's going to be different in two ways. One, she's going to be given the wings of an eagle, and we see that in the stars. We're going to jump there in a second. But she's also going to be kept safe from the dragon. The dragon cannot access her at this point. Well, the dragon's already been cast down to the earth. So where does the woman have left to go but to the heavens? The dragon is here doing war with Michael. And we're going to see that in Stellarium. So let's go ahead and go into full screen mode. And we're going to bring Aquila into the center stage. Aquila is our eagle constellation. It's right here. And what we're looking for is Vesta to enter under the wings of this constellation. Vesta is the virgin goddess, bride, we'll say in this case. And if you wonder how we got to this point, if you haven't seen some of our previous videos, we have been looking at Comet Soho. It was a Rapture comet, and here's why. So we see how Comet Soho, 342P Soho, is very unique in that it just comes in and out. It doesn't have the normal rounded orbital path that we would see with just about every other single meteor or comet. The only other one that I can think of that is similar is 96P Macules. Look at that. And that's the comet that we are looking at for Rapture number 2. That's going to happen between the 4th and the 5th trumpets. And just for comparison, this is another comet. This is 12P Pons Brooks. And most comets are going to, even this one is actually kind of short. But they're going to have more of a rounded path. And just for comparison, this one is called 13P Olbers. I want to do a little bit more research on that guy if I have time. But they're typically more of these rounded paths. And so to see that played out, it was just kind of like, here comes Comet Soho in. One moment. In and then out. But what we didn't expect was another comet to kind of usurp the stage, Comet 22 Cup. And 22 is the number for unmarried. And then we looked up what number was married. And it was this asteroid here, 1060 Magnolia, which is right there in that same vicinity. So we decided Magnolia in and of itself does not mean marriage, so we went and looked at what asteroid or comet did signify marriage, and it was over here, Vesta. I'm not into astrology, but through my research, these are the things that I've discovered, and I'm always happy to hear input from other people as well. And in a nutshell, I've discovered through my research that the 7 seals are 7 planets, and the 4 horsemen being Jupiter, the white planet, the white horseman, the king planet, Mars, the red planet, the planet of war, the second horseman, Mercury, the messenger planet, that's black, and also has ties to the financial markets. And then death and Hades, well, that's Saturn and Pluto, which they just happen to be near each other. And then we also looked at our four living creatures from chapter 4 of Revelation. And we realized which creature was calling out which planet. And I can link a video that will go into more detail with that. The interesting with Saturn, and we can also look at how close Pluto is. I mean, these are such slow-moving planets. I mean, they don't go into conjunction for, I guess however long it takes Saturn to go around, maybe 28 years. Seriously. So what we're looking for, and this is going to help us understand the signs in the heavens with the tsunami. So we looked at the goddess Metis, which actually I don't think I did it in this take, but the asteroid Metis is also going to be nearby when the sun goes into a near conjunction with Vesta. We saw Amphitrite over here, which is also a water goddess that caused us, some alarm when all of this stuff with La Palma first started, and Soho and the sun, and it was just, a lot of watching at that time. But now as the sun gets closer to Vesta, and we can look at that real quick as to another reason why Vesta would be considered as the bride of Christ. So when I decided to see if I could figure out where Vesta would have been during the crucifixion, of course we don't know the exact year it happened, just because they're not sure exactly the year that Jesus was born. We know that he was crucified when he was about 33. So I did a little research and I found, Aries, the sacrificial lamb, Jupiter, we know that to be the child that's caught up, Jesus Christ, the white horseman, and Vesta was right here, and the sun going into conjunction. And we know from Revelation 1:16 that the sun gives strength. Ironically, Venus is here as well nearby in the constellation Taurus. So the remnant is near as well. And I can make this bigger, this screen capture here, kind of detailing who the four horsemen are in the heavens. Let's make this a little bigger. And the living creature that called them out, some of their equipment, when they were called out, and the constellation that they were called out in, and then when they went into conjunction with the sun or were strengthened with the sun. We also have a timeline of all of the events. And since I'm here, I might as well, if you want to pause or screen capture this, down here below is the two witnesses. Up here above is the planets, and then the constellation that they are in when they go in conjunction with the sun. Seven seals for 7 planets. We've gone into this in other videos. I have been working on a guide in terms of everything that I've learned, and I want to make that available. I will have that linked below. I want to do a diagram of the stars, what they will look like until 2024, which I believe is Armageddon. And I just want to say, for anybody who doubts that, if you listen to, let's say Israeli News Live, or even Paul Begley with Mike from Around the World, that war is coming. And Stephen Banoun on Israeli News Live has said numerous times, there's going to be a war in Israel in 2024. Well, that's Armageddon. The other side has to tell us what they're doing before they do it. And sometimes it takes a while to sink in, but that is what they are declaring. That's what we're heading toward. So do take these things to the Lord in prayer. If you have questions, please, by all means, share them. Let me know. But mainly, I want everyone to feel encouraged because, just because 2017 didn't bring on the rapture that we had hoped and expected, well, now we know why, because people were taken to a place of safety, and we have been pretty safe. But now we're going to be taken up with wings like an eagle into our eternal home. And we'll look at that. Or I should, instead of saying that, I should say into a safe place, into a wilderness, a place where we can reflect, have training, or just prepare for what's to come, how we can help, or just rest, just prepare for the millennium. However, God decides to bring that about for each individual. But here's the wings of an eagle, and we're going to look for Vesta to head in that direction. Here's Vesta. Here's Vesta. Okay. And as we've said in previous videos, Vesta is going to enter beneath those wings with the sun, just the way it, happens to play out, and Mercury. So be encouraged, be blessed. And let's go ahead and close with some scripture. So the Lord has taken me to Jeremiah. We are in chapter 51, looking at verse 36. I don't have anything underlined, but I'm drawn to this portion. Therefore, this is what the Lord says. See, I will defend your cause and avenge you. I will dry up her sea and make her springs dry. Babylon will be a heap of ruins, a haunt of jackals, an object of horror and scorn, a place where no one lives. Her people all roar like young lions. They growl like lion cubs. But while they are aroused, I will set out a feast for them and make them drunk, so that they shout with laughter, then sleep forever and not awake, declares the Lord. He keeps giving us words of triumph in these hard times. God's going to manifest judgment through Babylon, but Babylon's going to have a judgment of its own. Be encouraged and blessed, sending love. Bye-bye.